They say the scariest thing about Roblox is not the monsters, the myths, or the games themselves. It's the fact that sometimes the person on the other side of the screen can completely change your life. And today's story is about a 15-year-old boy who thought he had found the perfect online friend until one secret trip turned into a real-life nightmare. Before we begin, I want you to answer one thing in the comments. Would you ever meet someone from Roblox in real life, yes or no? Because after this story, your answer might change. Like the video, subscribe, and stay until the end, because the final message in this case is something you do not forget. This story is about a boy named Carter. In real life, Carter was quiet, awkward, and easy to ignore. He wasn't popular, wasn't funny, and wasn't the kind of person people paid much attention to. At school, he mostly kept to himself, but in Roblox, he was different. In Roblox, he was confident. He knew how to talk, how to joke, how to fit in. Online, people noticed him, and that difference meant everything. Every day after school, Carter rushed home, shut his bedroom door, and got on Roblox. Out of all the games, the one he kept returning to most was Brookhaven. Not because it was hard or exciting, but because in Brookhaven, you could pretend to have a better life, a cooler life, a life where people actually wanted you around. And that was where he met her. Her username was Aaliyah Rose 27. At first, she was just another random player in the server, but she kept talking to him, kept choosing him in role plays, kept coming back to him in chat. For someone like Carter, that kind of attention felt powerful. The first night they talked for 20 minutes, then an hour, then every day. Soon they moved from Roblox chat to Discord, then voice messages, then long calls late at night while the rest of Carter's house was dark and silent. Aaliyah told him her life was messy, that her parents didn't understand her, that she felt lonely almost all the time. Carter told her things he never told anyone, about school, about feeling invisible, about how boring and empty his real life felt. One night she said, "You're not boring, Carter. You're just around the wrong people." That sentence hit him hard. Over the next month, Carter got attached fast. He stopped talking to the few real-life friends he still had. He rushed through dinner to get back online. He stopped caring about homework. He barely slept. Some nights he stayed up until 2 or 3 in the morning just to talk to her. His mother noticed first. "Carter, who are you talking to every night?" He always gave the same answer. "Just friends." But it wasn't just friendship anymore. He started checking his phone constantly. If she replied fast, his whole day felt better. If she disappeared for hours, his mood crashed. If she sounded cold, he couldn't stop thinking about it. That's when an online friendship stops being normal. One Friday night, while they were sitting on the roof of a giant house in Brookhaven, Aaliyah typed, "I wish we lived closer." Carter stared at the message. Then she sent another one. "Sometimes I feel like you're the only real person in my life." That was it. That was the moment everything changed in his head. After that, they started joking about meeting one day. At first it sounded harmless. "Imagine if you actually came here. Imagine if we hung out for real. Imagine if we made our Brookhaven life real." But the jokes kept happening, and eventually they stopped sounding like jokes. Then one night, Aaliyah said, "My birthday's in 2 weeks." Carter told her, "Happy early birthday." She replied, "I already know what I want." He asked what? She said, "You." To an adult, maybe that sounds ridiculous, but to a lonely 15-year-old boy whose entire emotional world had started revolving around one online person, it felt huge. Carter asked where she lived. She didn't give him the exact address, only the city. A beach town several hours away. Far enough to be difficult, but close enough to feel possible. From that moment, Carter couldn't stop thinking about it. At school, he opened maps instead of notes. At home, he searched bus prices in secret. At night, he imagined stepping off the bus and seeing her waiting for him, smiling, hugging him, proving that everything between them was real. He told himself he was just looking. But looking became planning. Planning became obsession. And obsession became action. Carter didn't have enough money, so he started doing something stupid. First, he took a 20 from the kitchen drawer where his father kept loose cash. Then another. Then a little from his mother's purse. Every time he did it, He promised himself it was the last time. It never was. Within days, he had enough for a one-way bus ticket. That should have scared him. It didn't. Aaliyah kept feeding the fantasy without directly telling him to come. She said things like, "Nobody ever does crazy things for me." And if someone really cared, they'd prove it. For Carter, that was more than enough. The night before the trip, he packed his bag. Charger, hoodie, water bottle, snacks, headphones, cash, phone, and one small bracelet he had ordered online because he thought giving her a gift would make the meeting feel real. At 4:30 in the morning, while the house was silent, Carter got up, picked up his bag, and stood in the dark, listening to his parents sleeping. That should have been the moment he changed his mind. Instead, he quietly opened the front door and left. The air outside was cold. The streets were empty. It felt like he was sneaking out of one life and into another. At first, the trip felt almost perfect. He got to the station. Nobody stopped him. He boarded the bus, took a window seat, and texted Aaliyah. "I'm coming." She didn't reply for several minutes. Then finally, "Wait, are you serious?" Carter smiled and typed back, "Yeah, I told you I would." Another pause. Then she sent, "You're crazy," followed by a heart. That heart erased the last bit of fear he had. The bus pulled onto the highway. Carter put on his headphones and watched the morning brighten outside. For the first time in months, he felt like his life actually had direction, like he was finally doing something bold, something worth remembering. But reality doesn't care what story you think you're in. About 3 hours into the trip, the weather got worse. Rain slammed against the windows, traffic slowed. Carter kept checking his phone, but Aaliyah had gone quiet. His messages delivered, but no reply. He told himself she was asleep, or nervous, or getting ready. Then the bus made an unexpected stop. The driver said there was a mechanical issue. Nothing serious, just a delay. After about 30 minutes, they were back on the road. But something felt off. The bus made strange noises from underneath. Not loud enough to make everyone panic, but enough to make people look up. Then came the first hard jolt. A few people gasped. The driver slowed down. Then there was a louder sound, followed by a violent swerve that threw Carter sideways into the window. Someone screamed. The driver tried correcting. Too late. One of the front tires blew. The bus skidded across the wet highway, slammed through the guardrail, and tipped halfway down a muddy slope beside the road. Glass shattered. Bags flew. People screamed. Carter's head slammed into the seat in front of him so hard that everything went white for a second. When his vision came back, the bus was tilted sharply. Rainwater leaked through cracked windows. One side had crushed into the mud. A child was screaming somewhere near the back. An older man was trying to force open an emergency exit. The smell of gasoline and wet fabric filled the air. And in that moment, the fantasy died. No perfect arrival. No emotional hug. No proof that any of it had been real. Just pain, panic, and the realization that he had risked everything for someone he had never even seen with his own eyes. He reached for his phone. It wasn't in his pocket. He searched around frantically under seats and bags and dirty water, but found only the bracelet he had brought for her, still wrapped, floating near someone's backpack. That somehow felt worse. A woman nearby was crying that she couldn't move her leg. Someone shouted that they needed to get out before the bus slid any further. Carter's hands were shaking so badly he could barely pull himself forward. Outside, emergency sirens began echoing through the rain. Drivers on the highway had already called for help. Carter was dragged out soaked, bruised, and half-conscious. He had a deep cut near his eyebrow, a sprained wrist, and a shoulder injury from the impact. But he was alive. Alive. And the first thought that hit him while he lay under flashing ambulance lights wasn't about Aaliyah. It was about his mom. Because suddenly, all he could imagine was her, waking up, walking into his room, seeing the bed empty, and realizing her son was gone. At the hospital, nurses cleaned the blood from his face while police asked questions. Name, age, emergency contact. Where were you going? Why were you alone? He answered some of it. Not all of it. He was too ashamed. When his parents arrived, his mother looked like she had aged years in one morning. His father looked terrified. For a long moment, neither of them yelled. His mother just stared at him with tears in her eyes and said, "Why would you do this to us?" Carter had no answer. Later that evening, hospital staff returned his bag. His phone was inside after all. The screen was badly cracked, but it still worked. He opened the messages. There was one from Aliyah. Only one. It had been sent nearly an hour after his last text. "Don't come. I lied about a lot. I'm sorry." Carter stared at the screen so long his vision blurred. That was it. No explanation, no call, no asking if he was okay, just, "Don't come. I lied about a lot. I'm sorry." Those words hit harder than the crash, because in 1 second the whole fantasy collapsed. The feelings, the plans, the version of her he had built in his head. He realized he had stolen money, destroyed his parents' trust, nearly died, and thrown everything away for someone who might not have been real at all. Maybe the name was fake. Maybe the age was fake. Maybe even the voice notes had been fake. He had built an entire emotional world out of loneliness, hope, and a screen. And now, it was gone. When he got home, his father demanded the truth. Carter told them everything. The chats, the money, the plan, the girl, the lies. His mother cried again, softer this time. His father sat there with both hands over his face. Carter expected screaming. There wasn't any. That somehow hurt more. A week later, after being grounded and watched constantly, Carter turned on Roblox one last time. He entered Brookhaven. Everything looked the same. And that was the creepy part. The streets were still bright. The houses still looked perfect. Players still drove around pretending their lives were fine. But Carter wasn't the same anymore. Now, all he could see was how easy it was to get trapped in something that looked harmless. He went to the rooftop where he and Aliyah used to talk. He stood there for a while with his avatar looking over the fake city. Then he opened her profile. Offline. No new name, no final message, nothing. He deleted her from his friends list. Then he left the game. And this time, he didn't come back the next day. So now I want a real answer in the comments. Do you think Aliyah was ever actually the girl Carter believed she was? Or do you think he was being manipulated from the very beginning? Because honestly, that final message makes the whole story even darker. Stay safe. Trust your parents more than strangers on a screen. And remember, in Roblox, when something goes wrong, you can leave the game. In real life, sometimes the damage follows you home.